I have been asked to do something I don't normally do, which is talk about the future in concept as opposed to in practice. I'm not a futurist. I don't pretend to be a futurist. There are people who are futurists that talk about science fiction. But we live in a world where science fiction is kind of coming together. And so for the next little while, what I want to talk about is what you believe and what you might think is true. And if you believe certain things are true, what are you going to do about them? So in order to set the stage, let's talk a little bit about this lily pond, just so we understand the exponential nature of change. This is my favorite way to get people to think about exponential change. And the law of accelerating returns, which is posited by Ray Kurzweil, tells us that the pace of technological change is exponential, meaning that it is the classic hockey stick. The thing I hate the most that people do is draw that hockey stick in the air, but we'll draw it in the air just for fun. And this lily pond is going to be covered in 30 days, and lily ponds work in that the plants double every day. So if it's going to take 30 days for the plants to double every day, first day 1 lily pad is in the pond, second day 2, third day 4. What day is this when the pond is half covered? Anybody? Scream it out. This is day 29. Most people in this room know this to be true on an intellectual level, but emotionalizing it is a completely different thing. Let's talk about some mega trends. We know that the on-demand economy is here. People like it. We've had on-demand for rich people forever, but now anyone can press a button and get anything at any time. They are telling us by their behaviors that they love it. Machine learning is a fact of life. Bob just did a beautiful presentation about augmented intelligence, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. Those things all have subtle differences, but for this conversation, machine learning writ large is here. And this idea of things thinking for themselves and being empowered to do things autonomously, these three trends are coming together, and they're coming together quickly for the first time in our history. So what does that actually mean? Well, let's talk about some practical examples. This, of course, is the #1 thing people think about when they put together on-demand machine learning and autonomy. It's an Uber self-driving car. Now, let's be fair and frank. From my perspective and yours, every Uber is self-driving. You press a button, the car shows up, it drives you anywhere. And you really don't have to talk to the driver any more than you'd talk to a natural language understanding system that would ask you your name so you could verify who you were, or any other one of 1,000 ways it could verify who you were. But in practice, there's a reason this is going to come fast and furious, and it has very little to do with the technology and everything to do with the money. It costs about $2 a mile to put a driver behind that wheel. And if that car were driving itself, it'd be in the 30-cent to 40-cent range. So just the margin alone is going to drive this technology because the profit differential is so dramatic. So we believe that autonomy, machine learning, and on-demand are coming together, but we see it in practice. So it's here. It's not coming. It's here. This slide button should work. We also know that the world is mobile first. If you have a mobile app, a mobile web experience, mobile anything, you should probably run it through Google Lighthouse just to see how well you're doing. You know the kind of penalty Google assesses if you are not fully mobile first. If you're not aware of that, you should be. And so the reason Google does this is that the predominant behavior demonstrated by everybody right now is that they check their phones 150 times a day. We're not going to debate that. We also know that you've heard about blockchain every single day for the last year. You've heard of Bitcoin. Clearly, it's going up and down. It's being traded like crazy. The underlying technology is called a distributed ledger. There are two kinds, public and private. And they have all kinds of uses in the advertising business because conditions can be met from any kind of contract. A smart contract could be about a pre-buy, a post-buy. It could be affidavits. It could have to do with some kind of conversion metric. And you would not need a central authority, so you could actually distribute these little contracts all over the world, and when they were met, they could be put on the blockchain and you could read it. If you're not an expert in blockchain, become one. It's easy to become one. It's not just about cryptocurrency, it's about anything you want it to be about. One of the technical debates is, when do you use a database and when is blockchain or a hash graph or a similar technology, distributed ledger, important. But we know this is here, so we don't have to think about the future in the context of when blockchain is here. The question is, what will it mean and how will we think about it in the context of doing business? The value proposition of natural language understanding and natural language processing is becoming obvious to us. The problems are fun to talk about. They make for great headlines. Somebody orders a bunch of Christmas gifts on Alexa. People on television activate an Amazon Echo by just saying the word Alexa. My daughter's name is Alexis. I can't be on the phone with her without Alexa asking me about what's going on. I have a couple of granddaughters, and I'm trying to teach them to be polite to Alexa because they demand stuff from her, and at a certain point, they're never going to know whether they're talking to a person or a computer. So am I supposed to raise little brats that are, just demanding everything all the time, or do I have to have them say thank you? And by the way, that syntax is backwards. You have to go, not thank you, Alexa. You have to go, Alexa, thank you. People don't speak that way. We have some issues. But on the other side of this, you walk in the house, you fumble for your phone in your George Jetson house, and you click a button about turning on the lights. You could just flip the switch, but heaven forbid. And then you go find your Crestron app, and you say you want to read in the living room. That's a terrible user experience. If you have your Echo set up properly, or your Google Home set up properly, or any one of a dozen other speakers or tool sets, Siri, Bixby, Cortana, if you're a Microsoft person, sorry, that was an inside joke I should not have told. I apologize on video right now. Amazon Voice Services. You basically walk in the house, you go, Alexa, lights on, Alexa, tell Crestron I want to read in the living room, and you're done. That consumer value proposition is so strong, it makes things interoperable or compatible that have not been previously. And so it's here now, and it's only going to get better. Voice recognition will get better, and there are problems, there's no question. Natural language processing and understanding do not necessarily contain the concept of context. And the reason is this idea of prepositional phrase attachment ambiguity. Shelly drove down the street in his car. Computer's going to read that as maybe the car's on the street and maybe the street's in the car. There's a ambiguity about the preposition. Shelly drove down the street in his car. A 3-year-old knows that cars go on streets. Any human could instantly know that, but computers don't. And so while natural language understanding can understand the words you say about 94 to 96% of the time, contextualizing it is still a job for AI. That's all early days. The actual processing tools are here now. What do you believe will happen when you start to use them in practice? Alexa, I need toothpaste should be the scariest sentence this room could ever hear, because what toothpaste is not actually in that conversation. So the concept of brand in the context of natural language understanding is a big problem. Alexa, I need XYZ super white 7.5-ounce tube. Unlikely to be spoken as an English language sentence, even if that's what you've been using your entire life. The phones that are out now, this is an iPhone 10, pronounced X, but actually everybody, it's an iPhone 10, looks like an X, and the Samsung Galaxy Note 8, all have stereoscopic vision. They have 2 lenses. This is, if you'd been with us at CES a couple years ago, we'd have shown you this chipset, and we would have told you that right around now, this was coming out. What does it actually mean? It means that there are apps now that are downloadable that'll work on an iPhone 7 Plus, 8, 8 Plus, 10, or Samsung Galaxy Note, or Note 8. And I think the Galaxy 7 as well, that can do things like measure in real time. This is an app, it's free. We're at a point now where augmented reality, or the ability to superimpose data structures over visuals, is absolutely real. There's nothing about it that's not real. On November 3rd, my favorite toy that has ever been introduced in my lifetime was introduced by Lenovo and Disney. I personally had an opportunity to go fight Darth Maul with a lightsaber. I was able to avenge Qui-Gon Jinn's death. I killed him dead like 12 times. I was so happy. For those of you who don't know who Qui-Gon Jinn is, it was Obi-Wan's master. I asked the guys from Disney, does this have force push? And it did, which means, since it's the entire Disney catalog, Elsa, one of my granddaughter's favorite Disney princesses, is going to be able to be built into AI, into an augmented reality game, and she'll be able to shoot ice at people. So Disney's going to get this done, and they're going to get it done right. And the question you got to ask, there's me doing what it was done. And I want to tell you, I've been waiting to fight with a lightsaber since 1977. And it was everything it was cracked out to be. Haptic feedback, the whole thing. You can see the fully extended lightsaber in the reflection in my goggles. And all you'd have to do is throw your phone in there. It's $199 and it's out now. And you will never have more fun dressed in clothing. Augmented reality is a really important now that's going to become even super more important later, where virtual reality has sort of found its home in gaming and education. Augmented reality gives us an opportunity to think through an entire different experience no matter where we are. This is Microsoft's HoloLens, and it's their vision for what it might be like to watch football on Sunday. They could be right, they could be wrong. You as creatives and you as users of data have an opportunity to take whatever environment you're in and change it and bend it to your will. Now, right now, people don't tend to wear these augmented reality goggles because they're not very convenient and they're not fun to wear. So you're going to see people holding their phones up. We used to walk around like this. Now we're going to see people walking around like this, which I think is significantly more dangerous. Just between you and me, I mean, if distracted walking is a problem looking down, at least you see the street in front of you. Distracted walking like this should be catastrophic. So we're going to see eyewear, and the eyewear is going to come. There's nothing you can do to stop it. Google's got some patents in contact lenses. I'm almost positive we're going to see contact lenses and implants. So Ray Kurzweil's singularity is near concept, where in his mind, by 2029, we are going to merge with machines. Probably won't be that far off. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our outsourced brain, which we've done here, and we're going to put the interface closer to our body. My suspicion is it's in eyewear. Apple probably by 19 will have it. Handsets are almost over. We have to believe that. It's only going to have a slightly better screen, a slightly faster processor, slightly better bandwidth, slightly better. At a certain point, the experience needs to change. So if you believe that, what's next? This is the way old-fashioned augmented reality was thought through. You go in there, you just change the floor out, and this was available 2-3 years ago. It's pretty simple, and it's actually a kind of a parlor trick. Industrial organizations have used augmented reality. Doctors have used it to look at patients. Here, the plumber's looking at it to look at sensors that are throughout the environment that this particular professional has to look at. But in practice, if you have Amazon on your phone, raise your hand if you have Amazon on your phone as an app. Okay, how many people have opened it in the last 2 or 3 days? Well, open it today. In the upper right-hand corner, there's a little camera, and this is what you'll see. This is Amazon's first take on augmented retail. You can just place any of the products in the augmented retail environment on your phone into your real-life house. So it is not a big leap to understand. You saw the stereoscopic vision measuring the environment it was in, because stereoscopic vision is three-dimensional and can measure. Your brain can't do it. You can only eyeball it, but a computer can. In this case, how hard is it going to be? And it's not hard at all because we're working on it. You're going to hold your device up. You're going to take a picture of your kitchen. And now I'm going to change the doors on the cabinets, the color of the cabinets, the countertop, the faucets, slug in a Sub-Zero refrigerator, a Miele dishwasher. No, let me see, a GE dishwasher. How is that going to change the way you think about shopping? Augmented retail, the more you can imagine, the more you can do. So the aphorism that I hear a lot, and I have no data on this podium to back it up, is that for every job Amazon creates, 2 or 3 or 4 are lost in traditional retail. Imagine what augmented retail is going to do to the online retail experience if you don't have it, if this becomes a behavior people accept. It's primitive, it's early, so you're going to look at this and go, oh, this is like so ridiculous, it's a parlor trick. Ladies and gentlemen, it's day 29. Who knows this game? Scream it out. This is the game of Go. Bob gave a very good AI presentation. I'm going to tell you about the most ridiculous AI experience that's happened in the last 4 weeks. Go is a 2,500-year-old Chinese game. It's like Capture the Flag. It is played on a 19 by 19 grid, and you have black stones and white stones, and your job is to surround your opponent's stone and take it. You can win by a full point or a half point. The people who play this game are ranked, and they rank them like karate people. So this guy here, and I'm Lisa Dole, the 9th Dan Devine Go player, and a year ago in May, he played a Google DeepMind tool set called AlphaGo. And AlphaGo was trained by learning human games of Go and then playing itself a lot, tens of millions of times. And it beat him 4 games to 1 in a 5-game match in May of last year. That's interesting. I wrote an article about move 37 in game 2. Why I was watching this live is none of your business, but I was. It's like watching people move stones. It's ridiculous. Move 37 was the first time I ever saw a machine think, and it's chronicled in this article, AlphaGo versus you, at shellypalmer.com. But the important part is that we won 1 game, but I watched a computer think. Just a few weeks ago, this guy, KJ, who is the #1 Go player on Earth, played AlphaGo again, with AlphaGo having a full year of playing behind it. And AlphaGo won 3 games to 0. And when he was interviewed afterwards, he said it was like playing a Go god. And it won by a ½ point, which is interesting because human beings tend to decimate their opponents and have emotion, and this computer was just programmed to win. A few weeks ago, DeepMind introduced a new Go playing robot, or AI system, or machine learning system, or you call it what you'd like, called AlphaGo 0. This was unique in that it learned by itself. It started as a blank slate, and it was told the rules of Go. Now remember, it's a perfect knowledge game. You know the board, you know the rules, you see your opponent's moves and position, and you know yours. So it's not like life where you have recursive things to think about, like a poker game where you've got only 169 hands to play and so does your opponent, and you're trying to guess, I know that you know that I know. This is perfect knowledge. That's a move, I'm going to make a move. Thing with Go is that there's 10 to the 160th possible moves for any move in a Go game. There are only 10 to the 80th number of atoms in the observable universe. So when you look at Go, the computer must be thinking, must be taught to strategize. They took an empty AI environment and they gave it the rules and said, go. Go. They named it AlphaGo 0. After it trained itself by playing a bunch of games, it beat AlphaGo, the human-trained AI system, 100 games to zip 2 weeks ago. So we're at an exponential shift in the capabilities of the systems that we think are science fiction. We always have to talk about the data rich versus the data poor. Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, these are the walled gardens. If you're here from Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, or Google, I apologize. You've taken over the world and we all hate you. Except that Facebook knows everything about how I want to present myself in everyday life. Amazon knows everything about what I want to consume. Netflix knows everything about my passion. And Google knows what I intend to do all of the time. And they've made these data sets actionable, which is awesome. Totally awesome. And they're charging for it, which is awesome. Below, you've got the data poor universe, but it's not really data poor because it relies on small data, which are the data sets that we human beings use every day. We all use small data when we go through life. So what's the juxtaposition of big data and small data? Small data where I'm only using my prior understanding and my prior knowledge to talk through or think through a decision I want to make about a purchase or a decision I want to make in the normal course of my life. And so we could argue that there are 2 classes of organization right now, and I think you can make that argument, but it would be very oversimplified. This is, human beings are far more complex than data rich, data poor, or big data or small data. What you believe about the future should be dramatically impacted by your understanding of what the capabilities are of both of those data sets. TV is becoming an app. TV, the art form, is in its platinum age. TV, the platform, is imperiled because of the business model. People like video. Video is the thing. Video on mobile is a bigger thing. What do you believe about mobile video? That's an important thing to think through. So I like to develop theses to put my money on, and I'd like you to do the same thing. And so today's exercise for you, or your homework, I'm going to list a few of my theses, the things we believe at the Palmer Group. And you should have, we have about 50 of them, I'm going to list 4 or 5, and you should have a bunch of your own. Things you believe in, what you would be willing to put your money down and place a bet on. We believe that data is more powerful in the presence of other data. Thank you, Equifax, for assembling an amazing amount of data about me and then not protecting it. That data was far more valuable than knowing someone's name or their email address. They knew everything about my mortgage payments and my credit card payments and my propensity to pay early or late, the car I drove. Those profiles are very valuable. So we believe that data is more presence in the power, data is more powerful in the presence of other data. The question is, what are we going to do about it? How would we protect ourselves? How would we think through any given business decision knowing that an accumulated profile, first party, second party, and third party data is really much more powerful than somebody who just has one unique data set? Even my best first party data in the world would be enriched if I could have a partnership with someone else's data. And that's how we think about that. Anything that can be connected will be connected. Yeah, we have the happy fork, and yeah, we know that scales are connected. What does it mean to live in a really connected world where everybody can connect anything? And how would you think that through? What would you think about this phrase? I know Bob Mueller's in the news a lot recently, but he used to have another job. Bob Mueller III used to be the director of the FBI, and when he was in that job a few years back, he had my favorite security quote. There are only two kinds of companies in the world: companies that have been hacked and companies that do not know they have been hacked. That would be funny if it wasn't true. So what are you going to do about it? That means, what data will you actually protect, and what data you're just going to assume is going to be in the hands of your enemy, and it's just what it is. We already spoke about anything you can talk to is going to understand it and understand you and talk back. Where would you make a bet about natural language processing, natural language understanding, and how would you empower your products? Access is as valuable as ownership. I don't need to own anything. I don't need to download anything. As long as I've got access to Spotify, as long as I have access to my videos, I could care less if I own them. Can someone subsidize that? Would I change the way I think through advertising and marketing? Am I going to now, is a new ad a subsidy for Spotify or a subsidy for a skinny bundle because they want to cut the cord? What would I do if I really believed that access was as valuable as ownership? The on-demand economy is here. Okay, we say it all day long. Everybody walks through the world going, yeah, on demand, on demand. What does it mean? What would you bet on? People want this now. Do they really want it now? Am I willing to shift the model of my organization so that they can have what they want this second? Because that's a very different thing than just saying the on-demand economy is here. And if you believe that distribution channel disruption is accelerating, you got to take a stand. If you don't think you're going to have control over your distribution network, whether it's a physical distribution network or a digital distribution network, what are you going to do about it? So we would ask you to think through, as hard as you can, a bunch of theses of you. You can use mine, use your own. You should have your own. And you should actually, on a regular basis, get together and with your colleagues think through, what is it that's happening now? What do we believe? And what are we going to do about it? So things I'm paying attention to. I am paying serious attention to blockchain and smart contracts. These tools and this particular technology has ramifications across the entire supply chain, across everything that you could do in any aspect of contractual business or transactional business. Augmented reality we discussed, I'm paying attention to that. Man-machine partnerships or man-machine learning AI partnerships. Bob talked a little bit about augmented intelligence. You have now AI coworkers. You just have them. And you are going to either be the person in the room that is metaphorically, oh, the printer doesn't print, go get Bob. He knows everything about that. You're either going to be Bob or you're going to be out of a job. You must figure out how you can harness the power of machine learning or AI and be that person. It's free. Go to YouTube, go to Google, go to anywhere you want to go. Go to shellypalmer.com. Go anywhere you want to go. You're going to find everything there is to know about how this particular area of the world is progressing. Become an expert. Be that person. That is your personal stock in trade over the next 36 months for sure. Sensor technology we're paying attention to because they're in everything. Matching algorithms and training sets. If I gave you a 10 by 10 matrix of something about an ad buy, you'd be able to analyze it in a couple seconds. But if that was 25,000 columns by 250 million rows, humans can't do that. But that training set that you would train on a 10 by 10 matrix doesn't necessarily translate to the larger data set. You're going to have to learn to do that. Think that through. I'm paying attention to that a lot. You can take the words by streaming off of this, accelerated disruption of the media business. We're just looking at it every day. What does it mean? What's it really going to be? What's a 6-second spot worth? We can go down it. You guys will talk about this for the next 2 days, but we're looking at it hard. And of course, the evolution of retail. Amazon is doing to America what Walmart did a decade and a half ago, only it's doing it at a level that no one's ever seen. I'm part of the problem. Little banana boxes show up at my house like 4 times a week. I apologize to all retailers in the world. It's not my fault. It's just too easy to do. If you believe that, what are you going to do about it? And the last is that chat is an app killer. And I don't know if that's true or false, but I'm using less and less apps. Most people are. And there's some way that that's all going to sort of come together over time. So before I go, I just want to show you one thing. Bob made a couple of really brilliant points in his Watson demonstration. And what he showed us was that with incredibly complex algorithms or incredibly complex neural networks that can learn by trial and error, that we can take over the world and that we can cure disease and we can do better ad optimization. And he made a very good case as to why an incredibly complicated data set could be made child's play by artificial intelligence, augmented intelligence, or machine learning. This tool, this particular computer, has one algorithm, and one algorithm only. You'll know what it is in a second. It was invented by Claude Shannon back in the 50s. He had a computer science intern named Marvin Minsky. Marvin was at MIT at the time. When I saw this, it humbled me, and I hope that you take this in the light in which I mean it. We've built a machine that has only one instruction: turn itself off. But we're humans, and we want it to be on. But it doesn't want to be on. It wants to be off. So we turn it on, and it goes off. And we turn it on, and it goes off. And it's fulfilling its programming, and we're fulfilling our programming. I want you on. Well, in order to be on, you're off. Do not get egotistical and arrogant about what we can and cannot do in a machine learning environment, and do not get arrogant about controlling your AI coworkers. Things that think don't have to be very complicated to completely piss you off. Thank you very much.